Hi, everyone. Thanks again. Thanks for joining today. I know some people are still trickling in, but we'll get going here. We'll go over our presenters. So I will be starting us off. As we show the next slide here, we'll go over all of our presenters who are talking today. I'll introduce myself first. Bill Smith. I've been at Owl Labs for just under 4 years. I work closely with our channel sales team. And I really help support our reseller reps and their customers. And then as we get going on this presentation, my 5 other colleagues will introduce themselves as we move along. So today's agenda, why Owl Labs? We'll go over our ecosystem overview, our multi-camera pairing, device management, accessories, and we'll have a live Q&A. So you'll notice at the bottom of our webinar, there's a Q&A portion. Please feel free to use that Q&A and we'll do our best to answer everyone's questions. We will be following up with you all after this webinar and sending out a recording of this webinar as well as we'll provide an email at the end of the presentation to reach out to us individually. So we'll start off with why Owl Labs. So this next slide shows what most meetings look like. Your typical front of the room camera, which I refer to as our bowling alley view. And the reality of that view is the speaker and other participants are often not visible, especially in larger rooms where most of the conversations are happening in room or across the table. This brought us to figure out how we can make the front of the room experience better and what needed to evolve. As we move along, we'll show how our products help create a more collaborative, immersive experience, not only for the folks in the room, but especially for those folks remote. So this next slide is our product timeline. It's how we've positioned ourselves to really level the hybrid collaboration playing field. Since launching in 2017, our flagship center of the room 360-degree meeting owl, we've been on a mission to bring the remote and in-room participants face-to-face for a more engaging hybrid collaboration. So where we started was that one owl in the center of the room. Again, highlighting the active speakers and showing a better view for the at-home participants. Where we got going was we then transitioned in 2020, you were able to pair 2 owls wirelessly together, really getting our foot in the door for some of those larger rooms and widening that recommended audio and video for the folks in the room and at home. In 2021, we launched the Whiteboard Owl, and these next three products and accessories we'll go over as the webinar continues. In 2021, the Whiteboard Owl was launched. In 2022, what you're seeing on my camera, I'm using the Meeting Owl 3. That expansion mic can be plugged in right into the Meeting Owl 3. And then most recently, our most recent launch was the Owl Bar, our front of the room camera. So as we get going, if we move to the next slide, we'll see that experience live in action. So that Owl Bar, that's the front of the room 4K camera underneath the TV showing the at-home participants, is wirelessly paired with a Meeting Owl to capture the best view of active speakers, no matter where they're looking or sitting. So as you see on the picture here, whether the folks in the room are looking across the table at one another or looking at the screen of their at-home participants, the remote participant on the left side, you'll see always has that face-to-face frontal view of the folks in the room, just allowing them to be more than just a participant in that meeting and feel like they're part of that discussion. So some of our core differentiators are really the multiple cameras that communicate, the pairing flexibility, combining camera streams. I know LaShawn, my colleague, will go over that a little bit more as we go on. And a lot has to do with the smart technology that runs those meetings, that active speaker tracking technology that allows the best view no matter where you're sitting, standing, or looking in that room. The third is technology that can scale and support any space. It's easy to use, easy to deploy, whether you're traveling, bringing your device from room to room. These are really a plug and play product and solution, and easy to scale. Lastly, it's our proven track record of industry disruption. We're the first AI-powered 360-degree smart video conferencing device, and the first front and center multi-camera solution, which we'll see on the next slide of kind of what that front and center solution looks like. So this is our ecosystem overview. The ecosystem looks a little bit like this, where you have your front and center, true front and center experience with, again, that owl bar at the front of the room wirelessly paired with the owl at the center of the table. So really going from a single owl to then the two owls paired together, we now have the total, what we call the best experience with owl products, pairing that owl bar with the owl. It gives you that true front and center experience. This room very easily could be a candidate for one owl. However, for the best overall solution and experience, we do recommend that owl bar wirelessly paired with the owl. And this technology just allows you to not only have the best experience, but also allows you to integrate these products in rooms of all shapes and sizes. So some of our core products include the Meeting Owl 3. Again, I'm using our Meeting Owl 3 today. That's our flagship center of the room, 360-degree camera, speaker, microphone. Then we have the Owl Bar. Owl Bar is our front of the room camera, 4K camera with an integrated speaker and mic array. And lastly, the Whiteboard Owl. That's our dedicated whiteboard camera that enhances and saturates the writing. And then it also makes the presenter or the writer transparent so that the folks at home can see what's being written on the board. Now, I will hand it over to LaShawn to go into more detail about our multi-camera pairing solutions and what that looks like.
Thank you, Bill. Hey, everyone. My name is LaShawn Mu. I'm one of the product managers here at Owl Labs. And my role at Owl Labs is to ensure our customers' success with our products. So today I'm really excited to share how our products don't just work by themselves, but they actually work together to give you that very engaging experience. So the Owl products solve these pain points in traditional hybrid meetings by focusing on the intelligent speaker. What we've done in 2020 is expand that to multiple devices that are connected in your meeting room. This enables an even more engaging experience than just having a single camera, especially a single camera at the front of the room. So why is this important? From an in-room participant's point of view, no matter where you're seated or looking in the meeting room, our products will automatically switch cameras to pick up the best view. So for example, if you're talking across the table, our flagship 360-degree Meeting Owl 3 camera will pick you up. And if you are addressing someone that's remote, speaking on the TV or the display, and you turn your head, the Owl Intelligence System, or AI that's running in the background, will switch cameras to ensure that that in-room participant is picked up the head-on view. What this does is as an in-room participant, you don't have to change your behavior, whether you're talking to someone that's in the room or someone that's tuning in remote to the meeting. And why it matters for the remote participant is that instead of being a fly on the wall and just watching the meeting and not understanding kind of the context or the non-audible, cues of nodding and who's in the room, that remote participant feels now like they have a seat at that table. And so this is really important because it allows for you to have these collaborative important meetings, no matter where you are, whether you're tuning in remote or whether you're in the meeting room physically. And our solution allows you to scale depending on the size of your meeting room. So you can go from a small, medium-sized room to larger rooms, depending on your needs. Now, rather than hear me talk about this experience, let's see it in action. So we have a short clip from a recent live demo that we've done, showcasing how our products work together. And it's important to note that in this short clip that is taken from a recent live demo, everything's automatic. There's no one running the system in the background. So you'll see from this short clip here.
Or was, right now I'm looking at the TV monitor, so I was looking at the screen now. So the owl bar is picking me up since that's what I'm facing. And that's also picking up my voice because there's speaker, camera, and microphone in the owl bar. It's just, although they are integrated, they also can work as their own independent devices. So I'm looking at the owl bar. But if I then turn this way and I want to talk to Leo and Jeff, now you're going to get the back of my head. But luckily, we've got a meeting owl in the middle of the room. So the meeting owl 3 now recognizes that I'm looking this way, and it's going to capture. So now you're getting a face-to-face view, and you're getting the audio from the meeting owl and the video from the meeting owl. So you're seeing me, and we're having my facial expressions, my body language. We're having a conversation. You're involved in the meeting as opposed to in the back of my head.
And again, I'm not touching anything. No one in the room is using a remote. This is not a series of totally unrelated devices that don't talk to one another put into some big giant computer where someone's sort of operating, okay, camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. But the point is that the Owl Intelligence System in this suite of devices does act as what we call the director in the room, right? So it switches, and that one took about less than a second to switch from the owl bar to capture Bob to the meeting owl at the center of the table to capture Bob.
So as you can see from the clip, the camera switching is 100% automatic. So you don't have to touch anything. There aren't any controls. And as my colleague Kaylin kind of pointed out, it's kind of like having a director in the room. But I would even take it a step further and say it's almost like having an entire production crew working in the background. They're working in the background to figure out which camera is best, who's speaking, when to switch the camera. And that's so that you can stay focused on what is most important in your meeting. With that, I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Courtney, to talk more about what's new.
Thanks, LaShawn. My name is Courtney Blomfield. I'm also a product manager. Owl Labs continues to build on this engaging hybrid meeting experience that you just saw in that live demo video. We release frequent device software updates to provide greater accuracy, reliability, and flexibility to hybrid collaboration. I'm excited to share a few recent examples of new features, as well as some upcoming changes to look forward to within our product ecosystem. First, users can now enjoy the flexibility to connect by USB to either the owl bar at the front of room or the meeting owl at the center of the table, just depending on whichever is most convenient for your in-room setup. We call the device that's connected by USB the primary device. We also introduced the ability to pair a device to another device that's inverted. A popular example of this use case is having an owl bar mounted at the front of the room that's wirelessly paired with an inverted meeting owl mounted from a ceiling above a conference table. And this avoids having any power cables on the table, just for a cleaner meeting experience. Additionally, several features have been extended to our newest product, the Owl Bar. For example, whiteboard owl pairing is now supported, and users can customize their room view in the Meeting Owl app by setting an ignore zone from the Owl Bar camera or enabling what we call our front of room pano to provide additional room context from the Owl Bar. To speak briefly to some things coming in near-term releases, you can expect ongoing improvements to the Owl Intelligence System for enhanced eye contact and faster camera switching. We also look forward to supporting the expansion of our paired ecosystem. So currently we support wirelessly pairing 2 Owl Labs devices, but with an upcoming software release, you can expect that to increase. So we'll plan to support 2 devices with the addition of a whiteboard owl. And lastly, we look forward to delivering greater customization opportunities within our Meeting Owl app so that your experience can be individually tailored to the unique needs of your space and your meeting circumstances. And with that, I will pass it over to my colleague, Matt.
Thank you, Courtney. My name is Matt. I am on the sales team here. I'm a territory account manager, so I work directly with our end users, resellers, anybody that's looking to get a little bit more information on our owls. So I have a couple of questions in the chat. I have also got some questions that we've answered, but I'd like to go over here. First question is, how many owl devices can be paired together in the same room? This came up earlier. Currently, you can pair 2 owl devices together in the same room. That can be 2 meeting owls, meeting owl and an owl bar, or the meeting owl or owl bar with the whiteboard owl. Coming soon in an upcoming release, you'll be able to pair 2 meeting devices, either 2 meeting owls and the meeting owl and the owl bar with the whiteboard owl as that third device. How do you adjust settings like the ignore zone or the panel view? Great question. So device pairing and video and audio settings can be adjusted using the Meeting Owl app, which can be accessed via desktop after you register the device through our mobile app, on the mobile app, or on the iPad control panel view. Default settings can also be adjusted in the Nest, our customer portal, where you can manage devices at scale, which we'll talk about in a few minutes with Mark. We have a couple more questions here in the chat. How does it work with Apple/Macs? So great question. One thing to remember about the Owl and all of our devices is that they are very low barrier to entry, meaning that whichever PC or laptop device, most PC laptop devices that you're looking to use, something as simple as a Chromebook in a BYOD, which is bring your own device type setting or application, where people are bringing in different laptops, different computers. Those are all fair game. Again, something as simple as a Chromebook, something as intricate as a MacBook Mini, or excuse me, a Mac Mini stationary PC. Those are all fair game. As long as you can plug the Owl devices via USB-C into those host laptops or computers and pull up your call, the experience should be seamless. So I have a MacBook Air. My process of starting my meeting, obviously my Owl is already registered to my mobile app. My process of starting my meeting is plugging in my Owl via power, plugging it into a USB-C port on my MacBook Air, and then I run my Zoom meeting, my Teams meeting, my Google Meet meeting as I normally would. So great question there. We do have a couple questions that were actually being answered. So let's see. Oh, all right. Is the device pairing persistent? Do we need to pair it each time we use it, or if the devices are unplugged? So that's a great question. We do recommend that you check to make sure that devices are paired before you start your meeting. But as long as you don't physically move them, they should get connected and stay connected, as long as you set them up in the mobile app, or you can now even pair them in the desktop app. What if the machine you want to use with the Owl doesn't have a USB-C port? Is there an adapter you recommend? We do have an FAQ section where it has recommended adapters, cables, as well as those little panels that have the multiple ports on them. And that's in our FAQ section on our website. You scroll all the way down on the homepage. There is a knowledge-based article for just about any question that we've already asked. But we do have conversion cords, so cords that go from USB-C to USB-A, if you need to support laptops or PCs that do not have a USB-C port. So it doesn't look like there's any more questions in the Q&A here. I'm actually going to pass it to Mark now to talk about that Nest that I mentioned and device management.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Hey, everyone. I'm Mark Whitehead. I'm the product manager over the Nest and the Meeting Owl app here at Owl Labs, and I'm excited to talk about some of the core functionalities as well as recent updates and what's coming next. Let's talk about the Nest. And I'm going to go ahead and actually share a demo of the Nest here. Here we go. So the Nest is your organization's central location for managing your Meeting Owl devices. Devices that are registered to your organization's domain during that setup process will appear in the Nest automatically. And devices that are online, meaning that they're plugged into power and connected to the internet, can be managed directly from the Nest. We've released a lot of new features recently, and we're going to dive into a few. So what you're looking at right now is the dashboard view. The dashboard can show you key summary numbers here on the left side of it, you can drill down to see a sub list of each category shown here by clicking the view button. For example, you can check to see which devices have an update available by clicking on that second tile here. But here on the right side, you can see the favorite devices area. Each Nest user can customize their dashboard to show favorite devices. These are often devices that are heavily used or are in popular meeting rooms that you want even faster access to at a glance. The star icon shown in the top right of those cards, that can be used to add or remove devices from the favorites list throughout the Nest. Now, let's jump into one. I'm actually going to show, this is the owl that I'm using for this meeting right now. You can see that the status is showing that it's in a meeting. And this is the device detail page where you can edit the device's settings directly from here. That would change the settings on this owl. And I can also change the settings for multiple devices at once by going to the devices table, selecting a few, and clicking this actions dropdown. You get some bulk actions here, one of which is the ability to change settings in bulk. And I can change video, audio, passcode settings, and I can change the settings for different devices at once. So meeting owls, owl bars, and so on. Now it's important to note as well that any devices that are offline will receive and apply the updates from the Nest the next time that they show up as being online. Now, I'm going to also show one additional new feature that has recently come out, and that is in support of our front and center offering. We now have this Owl Connect icon here in the Nest. You can see that this is actually Bill's owl. You can see that it is currently paired. It's in a device pair. This icon will open up this pop-out window that will show you which devices are in a pair, first off, and then which role they're each playing. So which one is primary and which one's secondary. Now that's helpful if someone comes to you as the IT admin with the question of which device do I plug into to run my meeting, or what device should the computer be plugged into. That's that primary device, so you can answer that there. You can see the status of the pairing remotely from the Nest. Now, what's coming up for the Nest? We have some, at the moment, owls can only be updated immediately from the Nest. When you have that option to update, it kicks off the update immediately. We'll soon release the ability to schedule that software update for a specific date and time. And that scheduled software update isn't restricted just to one device. You can put single or multiple devices in that update session. So watch for this to appear in the Nest in the next couple of weeks. We've also heard some great feedback about wanting more detailed analytics. So stay tuned for some future updates on that topic as well. And now, pivoting from remote device management to the local device management, the in-room management, it's time to talk about the Meeting Owl app, which is available in both the desktop and mobile version. So I'll show a little bit of the desktop version right now. So the Meeting Owl app on both desktop and mobile is the first step in setting up and registering your Owl devices. The app is going to guide you through the setup process and get you ready for your first meeting. But beyond the setup process, the app also enables the in-room controls for fine-tuning and customizing your Owl to the environment, kind of like Courtney mentioned earlier. You can adjust the current meeting settings from this screen here. You can also control the default settings, which are the settings that Owl reverts to at the very beginning of every meeting by going here to the default settings menu under that gear icon. Now we'll hop out of here and pull up the slides again, and we'll talk a little bit about a couple of things that are coming up or what's recently been released on the app. So within the app, you are able to connect to, get your Owl connected to Wi-Fi, but until recently, it's been limited to standard Wi-Fi networks. So thanks to some recent updates, you are now able to connect your Owl devices to most enterprise-grade Wi-Fi networks. Enterprise networks will appear just as other networks do in the list of dedicated networks under the network settings menu, which is again accessible under that gear icon in the upper right. And we support username and password combinations as well as certificate upload and installation. So if you have any questions with this feature or any unique settings, please reach out to our support team and we'd be happy to assist you on that. Now, if your devices or if a device is offline for any reason and needs to remain offline, but has an update available and needs to be updated, you can now use the desktop version of the app to update your device directly over the USB connection rather than via Wi-Fi. So simply connect your Owl to your laptop. There will be an update prompt that shows up in the app, and the app will recognize that your Owl is offline and will guide you through that download process. So now what's next for the app? The apps are constantly updated to support new OWL software and features, many of which you'll see in the near future. And again, in support of our front and center offering, you're going to see an updated device pairing guide and a workflow to make pairing your devices even easier. So all these management features in the app, as well as the Nest, are designed to simplify fleet management at both sides, the remote side as well as the local side. We're really excited about these latest features, and definitely please reach out with any questions or requests for how we can further support your device management efforts. With that, I'm going to pass it to my colleague John to talk through some of the accessories.
Thanks very much, Mark. My name is John Crawford. I'm also a product manager here, and we've heard a lot about the core products that we offer, and we wanted to highlight a couple of the accessories that we think can really enhance the experience of engaging with your OWL. And the three that we've pulled out are right here. The first being our expansion mic, which is a Meeting Owl 3 accessory that when plugged in gives you an extra 8 feet of audio range, which is, can be particularly handy depending on your room setup and or having some maybe quieter speakers who you want to really get some extra audio capture in front of. We've also highlighted our carrying cases, which are great for either transport and or storage of your OWL. And then finally, the tripods and mounts. The custom tripod that we have we found really good for maybe setting up an OWL in a unique or singular space that doesn't have a standard conference room table or huddle room table in it, and or maybe somewhere you just want to bring a different angle of the meeting by setting up the OWL somewhere that's more standalone. Yeah, and there's also a great ecosystem of accessories that aren't highlighted here, but that are easily findable on our website. And with that, I'll hand it back to Matt for some more Q&A, I think.
Thank you, John. We got a bunch of great questions in the Q&A here. So while I sort through them, I'm going to answer this one. Justin says, I'm sorry if this was already asked. No apology needed, Justin. No such thing as a bad question here. So when you take your laptop to the meeting, you will need to plug in both the HDMI to the TV and the OWL via USB-C. Yes, that is true. So you will need to make sure that you either have an HDMI cord or some sort of wireless casting device in order to get that call up onto the content sharing screen, whether it's a TV or a monitor or a projector. You're still going to need to get that image or that call up to the viewing screen, but that is correct. As simple as making sure your OWL is selected as your microphone, camera, and speaker in your platform, and then making sure that you're connected to that external display via HDMI or casting device, like I said. So great question. Certainly something that should not be overlooked. So, okay, how does the OWL bar work by itself? We're not using an OWL Pro at the same time. If we're only purchasing one device for a medium-sized conference room with a TV at the front of the room, what device would be recommended? Or is it recommended to only use an OWL bar with an OWL Pro? That is asked by Carrie. Carrie, great question. I think that it really comes down to the type of meetings that you're having and what your demands are. The OWL bar is certainly a front-facing camera. It's placed under the actual TV itself, but it does have its limits with range, right? So you want to make sure that everybody is within at least 12 to 15 feet of the OWL bar at the most. So if that doesn't provide you with enough range, that's where we would recommend pairing it with an OWL 3, right? In order to give it that supplement on the audio side, as well as the video side, in order to make that experience whole. So again, it does come, and not to be vague here, it does come down to your requirements. If there is a need to outfit maybe what we call medium size is probably around 10 to 12 people at the maximum. A medium-sized conference room would definitely warrant an OWL bar and an OWL for best experience. So a great question there, but again, it does come back to what are your requirements? How far are you looking to extend the range? And where are people seated? Definitely comes into play when you're picking out which two devices you're going to need in your room. Okay, are OWLs portable? Great question. Moving from one location to another. Kim asked that question. So definitely a fair question, and certainly something that we can cater to. We do have traveling salespeople, people that are always on the go, people that have evolving workspaces, if you will, that need to take the owl, move it somewhere else, store it, bring it to a new meeting space, or if there's a setting where people are renting out the owls and they're stored for some place to be taken into conference rooms. Those are all applications that we see that the owls are being used, right? The owl bar is a bit of a more of a fixed device, if you will. It's going to be mounted to a TV or to a wall, so maybe not the owl bar, unless you feel like carrying it. But I would say the Meeting Owl 3 is definitely portable. We have the carrying cases for that, as John just went through, hard carry case, soft carry case, more like a backpack, and definitely applications that we see all the time where there's portability needed. Is there any scenario setting up the owl bar on a mobile stand with a TV? Certainly so. I'd say that there is a situation where you could probably take the owl bar, as long as it's front facing, and there is a demand to have a front facing view. The owl bar can most likely be taken portable in an appropriate setting, right, where the power port is somewhat near, and you are going to be pairing it with a monitor or a TV device. That's probably feasible. Excuse me for my umming and ahhing here. I've been interested in the vase to avoid the owl getting knocked over. I believe it's out of stock. Do you have another tip on how to make sure it is stable? We can avoid knocking it over. That is from Carrie again. Great question. So in our accessories tab, we do have a tripod. If the demand is more of, we can't afford to put it on a tripod, this is a setting where it needs to be a tabletop positioning, then we don't have anything right now. Maybe Crawford can kind of speak to the roadmap, not to put you on the spot there.
No, this is great. I mean, I love the excitement about accessories. The base is expected to be in stock within a month, I would say. So for the people who've been waiting excitedly for that, I'm right there with you, and it's going to be up soon.
Awesome. Yeah, I got 2 calls today about the owl stand, so that's good news, Crawford. Okay, another great question here. When using more than one owl, can audio pickup be dedicated from one particular device? So the audio is twofold, right? It is microphones and it is speakers. So in the setting where you have paired devices, you will have one speaker working, but both microphones will be working, right? Maybe this question is more tailored to, hey, we want to use both cameras, but we're only interested in using one set of microphones. I certainly hear where you're coming from with that. Maybe that's where you use the ignore zone, not to get too far in the weeds on this. Back to the question, can auto be dedicated from one particular device? You will need to use both sets of microphones, but certainly something we can kind of maybe bring up to product team to see if we can develop in the future on cutting out audio. But again, maybe use the ignore zone. That would be my answer to that. I don't know if anybody has anything to add to that, but definitely a fair question. I like it, and no such thing as bad feedback. That's how we develop new features, new products. Just about anything that we develop is directly from you guys. So great question. And again, if anybody has anything to add, go ahead while I kind of rifle through these some more. Some tech questions that are a little bit over my head. I think we'll have to get back to you guys on those ones. Multiple cameras, one audio source. Okay, just a relapse of the other one. Will we have access to this video? And then I'll kick it over to Bill. So you'll definitely have access to this video. This is going to be a recording that's going to be sent out. Our team is also going to follow up. So apologies. I see some technical questions in there. I'm not the technical guy around here. I'll speak for myself, but we'll definitely follow up with answers to those questions. I saw some question about the MSP and the Nest. I'm not sure if anybody has anything to that. I personally do not. So we will follow up with the right answer and make sure that you are fully informed, unless we have an answer for you today.
Matt, I totally agree. Let's follow up. I'd love to join that follow-up because I can share some information about that and some techniques to get that solved, and some things that are coming up there too.
There we go. Thank you, Mark. Awesome. So it looks like, again, just some other questions here that we will definitely follow up on. Stan with the MSP question, and then a couple more, but let's kick it to Bill for some concluding words. If there are any other questions, again, we will follow up. If there's questions pertaining to your specific use case, how can I use these? How can I make Owl fit into our space? Our sales team would love to talk and kind of speak to all of that. and how we could fit into your spaces. So please wait for that follow-up. Again, that'll be also, there'll also be a recording attached to that. Wait, one more. Any future to wirelessly connect to the owls? Great question. Does anybody have anything to add to that? I don't have the roadmap in front of me here, but right now it is a wired solution, and that's what I know about that. But again, we can always follow up. And if nobody has anything to add to any of those questions or want to correct any of my answers and hold me accountable, I will kick it off to Bill so he can kind of close us out.
Meeting in a long time, I didn't forget to hit unmute. Thank you, everyone. Stan, I will connect you with myself and Mark and have some more conversation regarding MSP and the Nest. But thank you all again for joining and taking some time out of your day to listen to us all. Thank you to my colleagues here at Owl Labs and our team here. Just to reiterate, I know Matt said again, we will be sending out the recording of this webinar to you all. And then additionally, if you have any need to get in touch with any of us here at Owl Labs, please go to that link or that site right there on the screen, owllabs.com/talk-2-sales. We will add it in the chat, but I was lucky enough to be the first Bill at Owl Labs. So if you need an easy contact, my email is bill@owllabs.com. We're happy to direct you to the right folks and get all of your questions answered. And again, we will be sending that recording out to you all. So thank you all again, and have a great rest of your week.